And benvenuti, fellas and bellas, all over the world. Welcome to another episode of the Napoli Rant. I am your host, Raf Bids. With Rafa Rispo off today on vacation with the family. Instead, we are joined by Giovanni Gozzolino from Caccio e Basta. Welcome, Giovanni. How you doing today?
Hey, Raf. Thanks for having me, man. I got to do my best Raf impression. I don't have the beard like him, but, I'll do my best. I'll do my best. But I appreciate you guys having me on.
No, definitely. Thanks for coming. But it is a good, mini beard.
It's solid.
Yeah,
solid,
I mean that it's hard to compare to that mane that Rafa
mane
has
and the hair. I'm already thinning too, so I don't got any of that.
Oh, you look! Look at me, man. Look at me. I wore a hat because I'm ashamed, but but good to be here, man. Welcome to everybody in the chat and all audio listeners. Let's get this rant on the road. Napoli this week, another big win, man. 9 goals in 2 games. We beat Monza at the Stadio Diego Armando Maradona, our first home game of this 22-23 season. We beat them 4-0. 4 polpetta, Giovanni.
That's right.
Crazy. We'll start off the segment with Manzo, with Monza. And for all you there talking in the British language, Manzo means beef. So beef with Monza. Giovanni, overall thoughts. Just kind of give me a quick synopsis of when you watch this game, how it made you feel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we did give them some beef, some meatballs, some polpetta, but they must have enjoyed it. But no, I mean, I was very happy with the game. I think that there were times where I was wondering how we would in the attack show off. I mean, and with the Verona, obviously there's still chemistry going on with certain players in the back line, but I feel like this game we were just relentless going forward. Honestly, I feel like there were so many chances. Osimhen, I think, leads the league in shots. Obviously, hasn't put them all on target, but he has a couple goals already. So I was happy to see that. The midfield continues to look outstanding. Oh, there's Pete. Give him some love. Look at him.
Yeah, Pete's still in the house, man. Back on the porch,
right.
Gio.
But we
we'll explain that one later. We'll explain that one later. Yeah.
But we had a good game. I think that it was already a good improvement from Verona. The lack of awareness on defense, but just there were some more spots where I felt more secure in this game. I never felt like Monza really hurt us. Obviously, maybe Monza's a little bit less quality than Verona, but no, I think overall it was good. There was a lot of standouts, which we'll get to with our segments in the show.
Yeah.
And I was just very happy. There's a lot to build on. There's a lot. It's still early. It's 2 games. There's a lot to build on, but it's just another step in the right direction. And we continue that way.
No, I totally agree. Some people were telling me about like, oh, we're going to be careful, Monza. I was like, we're going to kill this team. And I don't care what anybody says. I was so confident, especially after seeing the Verona game. But by the way, get back in the porch. So when we went to when the Napoli, to Tri-State Napoli Club, when we had to meet, Giovanni was there. Napoli, was it the first goal, Giovanni? Was that right? Was it the first goal?
It was. Yeah, it was. We were losing, and then we tied it. And of course, I was already on the porch. Or actually, yeah, it was. Yeah.
It was like the first and second goal. Maybe Giovanni was like kind of off to the side doing some work as we were watching the game, and we scored. And being as superstitious as we are, we told Giovanni that he has to sit on the porch for the rest of the game.
I was on the porch for all 5 of the goals, and then the 6th one, I finally came off. I was like, we got some padding, we got the lead. I came off, we scored the 6th, and it was offside, so I didn't even get a goal when I was on the grass with you guys over there.
Didn't they score when you came and kind of sat next to us under the tarp over there?
Yep.
Oh man, Ando was going crazy.
Yeah, Ando was killing me the whole day.
Child from Lozano country. Are you? Where's you Mexico, Sean? What's going on? Talk to me. I heard you on the show. By the way, check it out, guys. Sean Sullivan was on the Forza Napoli podcast recently with Joe Fischetti. Definitely check it out, man. It was good to hear him out. And if you're in DC, stand up. Let's go support each other because he is out there looking for people. So, hey, Antonio De Luca, welcome. Been around for a few streams. First time commenter. Forza Napoli sempre. Thank you, and thank you for watching us. Dan Bowen, I am loving this guy recently. I love him all the time, Dan Bowen, but he is really like making me laugh recently. Destruction of 2 teams, first real test this Sunday at the Franchi. I have a feeling we're gonna kill this team too, man. I think that that Spalletti has a chip on his shoulder, and he really wants to like make up for what happened last year with Fiorentina and Italiano, because
yeah, we do need.
They had our number.
What happened last year? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It will be our first test, but we go in confidently.
Right. But yeah, 4-0 win. Super exciting all around. I think Giovanni. I think that I feel like we're a little bit more solid, maybe as a group, than we were last season. Do you feel the same way, or is there like something more that we need to do?
I think you can always improve the team. You know, Ralph. I think that the thing is, with as a unity, I think that the guys do feel united as a group, and that's in that stance. And I obviously we're not in the locker room, so we can't tell. But I feel like they all have a chip on their shoulder. I feel like they know they let go of three legends. They know the fans are eager to see what this team can do. And I feel like for that reason, they're more united than ever. And some of them don't know each other. They've just met in the past month. But there's just a different, I don't even know. It's just a feeling,
like a vibe, or
just a different vibe, or just atmosphere that you feel with the team from afar, at least. So in that sense, of course, there are places we can get better. Obviously, we're still looking at Navas and whatnot for the goalie. You never have enough depth, but we have improved our depth this season. That's a huge bonus. I think 100%. We have plenty of places. Obviously, the Dem injury hurts a little bit, but we brought in Dombele at the right time. We have Lobotka playing so well, Anguissa playing so well. So I think
we still got Gaetano in the cut, right?
He was on suspension. They say that they want to keep Gaetano and Zerbin till at least January. So that would be huge if they do. And those guys can even get experience with us, not another team.
Absolutely. So, I think he's a good young talent. I would like to see Gaetano on the bench. I mean, why not?
Me too.
Zerbin got some play recently as well. He came on twice.
Yep.
Reports said that maybe in January they might move him or something, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Playing with that chip, respect. All right. So moving on to the game, guys. I think one of the standout, he was man of the match on Foot Mob rating, Giovanni. And he was one of the candidates for Beast of the Match for today's episode for the match day 2. But we're dubbing this one No Zelinski, No Party. Outstanding game. I think he had 2 assists. We saw he had a goal in the first game. He is way more energetic than last season, I feel like. I think this was a big deal when again, I hugged Peter Scala when Zelinski scored, because he had mentioned how he was going to be a key factor. And we saw last year when he struggled in the second half of the season that even Napoli struggled a little bit. They didn't seem to have that, offensive prowess, that forward kind of aggression that sometimes Zelinski brings. How are you feeling about him now? Like, looking at him on the field, he looks a little bit more fit. He looks a little bit more energetic. What impression has he been giving you these past 2 games?
Rob, I think the thing that I'm most happy about in terms of him ending up staying, well, obviously, hopefully there's still a couple days left. Hopefully he does stay, because he's been amazing. He rejected, if reports are true, we don't, he rejected West Ham to stay at Napoli. He could have been making more money in the Premier League. We could have gone over 40 for him, but he chose to stay. And I think that, obviously us as fans, we want to observe it the right way, and in the way that we're thinking, oh, he just wants to stay and prove himself. And so far he has. He has the 2 assists. You're right with that. He's leading the league so far, obviously 2 games, but 2 assists. His dribbling and the movement that he has, we all know. He's one of the best dribblers in the league,
Yes.
And that's also true, Pete. As long as he's healthy and he's ready to go, he's one of the best midfielders in the league. It's not a biased thing. It's a true thing. A lot of teams, like in the past, Bayern wanted Zielinski. You don't have a Bayern wanting Zielinski if he's nothing. He is
exactly
a top player. And the thing for him is, as you mentioned, consistency is key. If he's not consistent, we're going to struggle. That's the thing. You said it from last year. We saw it. Sometimes he has 5 brilliant games and he disappears for like 10.
Right.
It's not an exaggeration, but when it happens, it really causes us to struggle, because then going forward, even sometimes tracking back, obviously he's not a defensive minded center midfielder, but just all of that combines into really just one area of just being solid for us. So I'm very happy with what he has been doing the first 2 games. Obviously, we'll see what he does against a better opponent in Fiorentina this weekend. But he also has 9 chances created. That's tied second through 2 games. In 2 games, 9 chances. That's huge.
That's huge. Big chances.
And then he has the wingers that he can give the ball to that so far have been producing. Obviously, we'll get into Kvara. So very, very, very pleased. And he does look a lot more fit too, Ralph. You did say it. He does look good. He just looks like he's in great shape. So
right. And that was my biggest, everybody knows that after the COVID, he was having a little bit of issues. I'm going to read this one out. Matteo Casella says, Insigne and Zilu would take each other's space. Kvara doesn't so. He is free to roam and make runs into the box. And I think we saw evidence of this in the first game where there was just this huge space. And Zilu just runs and Kvara picks his head up, was like, this is an easy clinical pass. And boom. And Zelinski finishes it. Do you think he would have finished that shot last season, Zelinski?
At the end of the season, no shot. At the end of the season, I think he wouldn't even have the. But we know this dude could score from anywhere. We know it too. We know what he's capable of. That's the thing. And I going back to the COVID point, as Pasquale just mentioned too, and you did before. I think that was a big thing. I think we've seen it even in Osimhen a little bit too. He had COVID too and came back a little slow. Right. So I think it does affect the players obviously in their cardio. And he had a full off season and he played well for Poland too. So all we need is for him to continue doing that. And what you said too about the spaces, like him and Kvara have been able to roam around everywhere. You find Kvara too from on the left all the way on the right. And so it's just a beautiful thing. Ever since Saudi, I feel like we haven't really lost our football. Like our football has maintained as, one of the top qualities in the league. It's just that, the results sometimes fail us. But the football itself is something that I still have enjoyed seeing, personally.
Absolutely. After we were in a bit of a transition mode, I feel like after Saudi, but it seems to be coming around full circle. And now that Spalletti had a year with the team, he has his chance. He had his chance with ADL in a better market. We're in champions. We're attracting these players, and now he's trying with this new system. It just seems to be working. And Zelinski, who was, I guess in Saudi, he was kind of the back. He did about 1,500 minutes or so in that 2018 season. But Zelinski is very familiar with this formation. He's very familiar with this style of play. And I mean, the whole midfield is great. I mean, I'm pointing out Zielinski today. We had Lobotka he was our beast of the match last episode. And Khvicha has been a killer so far. And we're just kind of waiting for him to do big things. So these three have been really exciting. Jan Grimm, I put it up. I just didn't like when he played next to Fabian. We lacked the defensive awareness, true. And even with I used to hate on Fabian a lot, and then Rafa Rispo changed my mind. But I'm kind of going back to the hate again because with everything that's happening, and the fact that he just I know he was a good player, but he never wowed me. I was never like, wow, look at this guy. And I had to kind of force myself to like him a little bit. So Joey Carr's in the house. I'm digging this 4-3-3. Suits the skill set of this squad. Kudos to Spalletti. Absolutely. Man. But moving forward or moving backwards in this case, we're calling this one silent but deadly. This is about Kim. Now, the reason why I went silent but deadly was not because we're farting and nobody hears it and really smells, but rather because there's this guy is dubbed the monster, but he's not a monster at all. I mean,
gentle giant.
He's like a gentle giant. I feel like would be the better, but he does things out in the field that don't seem flashy. It might not make a highlight reel, but damn, it is effective. So it is silent, but it is deadly between his interceptions, between that stomp kind of defense that he does, that he can just completely turn around and box out a player, and that's it. These forwards are gonna bounce off this guy's back. And on top of that, he made his first goal in his second game at his first game at the Maradona. I mean, were you worried about this guy when he first came? When we first signed him, what was your first thing and first impression, or actually first thoughts about when we signed him going into what we've seen in these past two games?
It's funny too, because some of these guys probably watching this episode of the show right now, just that know me from Twitter. I said from this, as soon as we were linked to him, I said right away, I'll be the biggest Kim supporter this season for all of us. And not because I knew what he was capable of, because obviously we all act like professionals when we're linked to players. We watch highlights and we're like, oh, we know this guy's going to be good. It's tough to do that. It's always tough to really think, just evaluate the player. You're not the scout. You're not there in person. So it's really hard to do that. But, with your own eyes, and if you take your time to go through games, yeah, you can come with that evaluation. I saw his height, big guy. He's almost, I think he's just as tall as Ramani. So you have, maybe even taller. I don't know, just the way he seems. But, that helps in one thing. He clearly gets into the box a lot. That goal, it was his goal, but there was also that chance in the first half that went right over the bar. The guy is going to be a threat on set pieces. It seems like he can. 100%. He has lift. He can get over a defender without hopefully being handsy. So far, in 2 games he hasn't been too handsy. So he also brings a aerial awareness. Yes, and Dan's right there too. I was going to get to that next. His calmness is kind of. It's like eerie almost. Like it's just like how is he so calm in a new environment? And it was funny too when they give him kind of the initiation kind of thing in the first team dinner, and he did the Gangnam style. Like it's so funny and kind of corny, but I'm glad that he was able to do that in a comfortable manner. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like some players, especially when you come to Napoli, if you're not going to be comfortable and take the challenge of putting yourself out there in front of the city, the fans, and your team,
absolutely,
it might not end up pretty well for you. It's not going to end up looking good. But he's been someone that I think has embraced the atmosphere, embraced the culture so far, and then just defensively, like you mentioned, like the aggressiveness. I'm happy about that. It's almost as if because you remember Koulibaly, obviously. Listen, it's always going to be so hard to replace a world-class defender. You know that? And we all know that. That's just an obvious thing. No one has to say that. We know that he's not going to, it's going to be hard to fill those shoes. But he hasn't showed me that he's scared to get in for a tackle. You know what I mean? Like he's going to be in there as much as he can to just get in the way of things. He has I think he has 9 clearances already in the season. All those aerial duels I checked from last game. I went and do some research. 100%. He won them all in the air. A bunch of recoveries, 18 recoveries through the first 2 games. And you know why that's impressive too? His speed. I think he's very fast. Like we've seen him track back.
Yeah. Right. And we also seen him run forward and he was zipping right through, man. Well, he wanted to be a striker from what I understand when he was younger. He was a striker. Like when he was a kid playing football, he started off as a striker. However, because it was so competitive, because there was so many other people kind of like gunning for that spot, he figured he had a better chance playing defense. So he started playing defense. Now, you have this really tall guy now, and obviously that's really important as a center back. But the fact that he probably had some of that experience as a striker initially as a kid, he probably learned to use his speed and his footwork, and now he's kind of bringing it to his game when he needed, when he needs to. And I think we saw that against Verona where he tracked forward. I mean, nothing happened from it, but you can imagine if he starts doing that a little bit more throughout the season, what it could set up a goal, it could set up an assist, or just disrupt teams' defense, because now you got Kvara running at you, you got Osimhen running at you, you got Lozano running at you, you have Zielinski running at you. You don't know, maybe Lobotka can run at you and right through the defense. Now you got this big gentle giant, but still big guy running forward at you. Like anybody can come at you at any time. But this is going to cause hell to any back line in Serie A, and it's just like another asset. It's like another weapon.
100%. The athleticism is off the charts. That's the thing. I didn't know that, by the way. I didn't know that if that's true about him being a forward when he's younger. It translates to what we've seen so far. The athleticism has been there. And a lot of teams too, like there were teams linked to him too. And I feel like if a team's linked to a player for 20 million, he's not really going to be someone who no one wants to invest their future in. He's like 25, so we want to invest our future into this guy, for the next few years. And the chemistry, building his chemistry is going to be important. And so far, it's been good. And I could see him maybe going forward a little bit. It kind of like remember Koulibaly used to make them run sometimes. And what's even greater too is like, I mean, this is pure speculation on my part, just from what I've seen, but we haven't seen Olivera really start yet as a left back. And from what I've heard so far, what I've seen is that he's better defensively. So you never know when Kim pushes forward, he can just tuck back in with Ramani and Dilo back there, and Kim can make a run. It could work. So I can definitely see that happening. But I think chemistry is the most important thing. If Kim just keeps improving, obviously against the big teams where we're going to get those tests. So
Right.
if him and Ramani can be solid back there, then I'm not worried about the attack, because so far we have a lot of firepower. We have players we haven't even brought in yet. We haven't seen Raspadori. We haven't seen Simeone when Osimhen's off.
Yeah.
We have a lot of options. So that's
Sure.
that's what makes me happy.
No, absolutely. We'll definitely get into that in the main rant tonight. I do want to read off one thing because I wanted to bring this up, and I'm glad Claudio did. Claudio Trophy says, with the size of Kim, Rachmani, Kvara, and Khvicha, Osi, I never want to see a short pass on a corner again. 100%. You mentioned it a little bit, Giovanni, when we first started this segment, but there was I think in about 3 or 4 of those corners, the setup was similar. You saw Khvicha, I think Rachmani and Victor kind of like huddle up right next to each other in the middle of the box, like center to the net. And then Kim would make kind of a run out to the back post, waiting for either like a longer ball that would go over or maybe like a deflection, like something we saw with the first goal in Verona with Di Lorenzo when Osimhen kind of stretched out his leg there. But you can see like these corners now are being set up for Kim to take a header at that back post. We saw it the first one, like you said, in the beginning of the game where he missed it, but it was a good try. If you look at the other 2 corners after that, it's the same setup. Mm-hmm. And then finally, towards the end of the game, it actually, well, I think he was a little bit more centered at that point, but either way, he got his head on the ball. But they're aiming for him. They're certainly aiming for him. This guy's huge, and he's strong. He took his marker and just like, guy could not do anything. He just fell right over. Kim fell right on top.
Yeah, he sat him down.
Yeah, definitely look out for this, man. I think he's going to get a lot of goals in this area. So certainly look out for that.
That's a good point, Claudio. Yeah.
Don't forget D'Lo. No, I do not forget D'Lo. D'Lo has been an absolutely great captain lately. He gave a big hug to a lot of the goal scorers. I think Kim was one of them. He just kind of embraced him really hard. So D'Lo's doing great. We all know what to expect from D'Lo. So I'm not even worried. I'm not even worried.
No.
But anyway, we got a beast of the match today, guys. I want to get everybody in the chat. Who do you think your beast of the match was this week? We had a few takers, Giovanni. I nominated about 3 guys because I wasn't sure. And I think this is a good problem to have, having a hard time picking out who beasted the game, not because of the lack of it, but the abundance of choices. Man, this was tough. So I like to get everybody in the what up, Don't by Dan? I like to get everybody in the chat to see what they thought was their beast of the match, and then we will get ours. All right. So, beast of the match, Monza. Here we go. I had to do it, guys. Kvara gets the win for me this week. Now, it was almost Zelinski, Giovanni, and I wanted to kind of pick Zelinski, but he, with that, funny enough, Foot Mob had Kvara as beast of the match right before Zelinski sent in that corner that Kim scored. Kim converted with his head and gave 2 assists to Zielinski. Because of that, it brought Zielinski from like an 8.8 to a 9.2, hence earning him man of the match for Foot Mob, leaving Kvara kind of second with an 8.9. But I think in this case, I know beast is Zilu. See Zilu. Man, I wanted to pick them, guys.
The Zilu lovers are here.
Yeah, no, we have big Zielinski fans in here. Joey Carvey, so good. Guys, believe me, Zielinski was a beast, but he became man of the match right after that assist. I'm going to tell you why I picked Kvara, and then Giovanni, I want to hear what you think. The reason why I picked Kvara was probably a compound of what he did against Verona and then what he did in Napoli. I mean, he gets a goal and an assist in his first game in Serie A after all the question marks. Then Peter Zilo. Yeah, I know. But boo. I should have won my first thing today, but I've come out. But I'll tell you why. Again, He gets his goal and he gets an assist in his first game after all the question marks. Fine, Verona, they're depleted, yada, yada, yada. Doesn't matter. He still showed up. He comes into the Maradona and scores 2 goals in his first game in the Maradona against Monza. Again, was the defense a little in Monza? Yes. But he beats 2, drops his shoulder, beats 2 defenders, and then slips in a shot under a 3rd defender and the goaltender in the far side of the post. That's a crazy goal. And then from a back heel from Zelinski, again, maybe Zelinski gets the honorary beast of the match as well with him, but Zelinski was the man of the match. He gets a back heel from him. And I don't know what was happening with the Monza defender in that case. I don't think he was quite quick enough to get to the ball. Kvara notices this, attacks the ball, gets it, and does a fucking Tita G right to the net. I mean, it was just too good. That to me is beastly.
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, you had the right choice. I would have picked Kvara too. And listen, we just pulled up like 5 comments for Zielinski. Listen, we love Piotr, okay, man. Like we love him. You know, he but this is just an ode to Kvara. I think the thing is too, and Joey, you're right. There could have been 3 because Kim could have probably gotten 1 too. Right. Labarca's always a stud, so it could have been easily 3 or 4. But I agree with the Kvara thing. I do.
Kim was also, by the way, one of the nominees. So it was 100%. Kim, Zielinski, and Kvara. I picked one from each area of the field. And any one of those could have won. Any one of those.
Absolutely.
So, but we'll continue, Giovanni.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like this kid right here is just owning his area. You know, just like owning the experience. You could see what it means to him when he scores a goal. Like he is pumped up. You know, I think he's really playing for his name too, not only for the team but just for himself. You never know what he's been through. He was playing in the Russian league, then the whole, thing happened and he had to go back to his home of Georgia. And then we got him here. So I feel like if we're going to talk about people playing with a chip on their shoulders, I feel like he's probably one of them. And he's here to show that, people that he's the real deal. And we'll get to it because I feel like we can talk about him forever, but the things he's been doing is just incredible. It's simply incredible. And I know that's part of our next segment. So that's why I haven't said everything about Kvara, but I agree with you. He had to be beast of the match in this scenario.
Yeah, I'll read off Luigi Della Vecchia. Hello, guys. Forza Napoli, sempre Forza Napoli to you, Luigi Della Vecchia. Kvara at the moment is just giving 50% of what he is capable of. We are going to have fun this year. I hope you're right, Luigi. Which kind of brings us, to our next topic. We're going to segue right into it. Is it beginner's luck for Kvara? I mean, listen, he made beast. I'll tell you why I ended up going to him over Zelinski. One of the biggest reasons was after he scored the goal, his celebration. He was charged, man. He was just beating his chest. He didn't hold back. It really made him feel good. A lot of people were asking, he has to adjust. Is he nervous? We still have to see what he's capable of doing against stronger teams. Fine. I'll give him that. I don't want to overhype the guy, but what I will confirm is that he's not scared. I don't think he's worried. I don't think he's nervous. I think his nerves were like maybe in the first 15, 20 minutes or so against Verona. And then after that, goodbye. Because now he has 3 goals and an assist. Okay. And he's winning beast of the match in our second game match here. So he looks pumped and ready to go. And to do all that on your first 2 games and the age this kid, he's young and it's not like he has experience in the top leagues. No, to me, when you put all that together, these first 2 games, that to me is beastly. And that's to me why he won. Zelinski was necessary 100%. But I think considering the expectations, that's why he won beast of the match. But is it beginner's luck? Or is the kid really special, Giovanni?
I don't think it's beginner's luck. I truly do not think it's beginner's luck. I was in a work league recently playing soccer, and I've been telling them since we signed him. I've been telling them, I was like, hey, watch out for Khvicha, watch out for Kvara. I'm telling you guys, watch out. And everyone was like, yeah, what are you talking about? This kid's from Georgia. He doesn't play in any of the top leagues. And I'm like, dude, I know I'm not a scout, but if you sit and watch this kid, Like, it's incredible for what he did for Georgia too. Like, I was looking back when we first
Right.
signed him
Against Spain, right?
Against Spain, he had that great goal, and then in
Mhm.
his last like 8 games for Georgia in the Nations League and some friendlies, he had 6 goals and 3 assists. You know, this
Mhm.
guy is literally the catalyst of Georgia.
Right.
And when you take him and put him in this environment, first of all, if he's going to play on the left, you know whose replacement he is. He's Insigne's replacement. And when Insigne first came up, this is the type of things he would do. And I not even maybe dribble as good. You know what I
Right.
mean? But he was explosive Insigne when he was young. He was explosive. He would go up that wing. He would tear it up. We'd see, magic from him. So for Kvaratskhelia to step in there and do what he's done so far, it can't be beginner's luck. I think this kid is truly world class. I truly do think he's going to be a world class player if he's not already.
Yeah.
He has that potential. Of course, like, don't get me wrong. Of course, it's been Monza, a newly promoted team that's never been in Serie A, and then Hellas Verona, who is way worse than the Verona we've played the past few years that have thwarted us a little bit, right? The Verona's been our nightmare in a way, so that was a good test already. He will be defended. He will be defended by teams. Yep, Joey, 100%. Teams are not going to let him roam. You're right, and he's going to get doubled at times. With the center back on that side, listen, it's going to happen. He's not going to be perfect every game, but if he can just continue, even what he's been doing so far. And Dan, I was just going to get to this, Daniel, like perfect transition.
Mm-hmm.
There is no fear. Like he will keep sending in those crosses. He will keep sending in those balls. He will keep trying to do something. Those first few minutes, like you mentioned, Raf, where he was kind of nervous, even at home, this last game, the first few minutes, I feel like with his dribbling, it's so good, but he does a little bit too much sometimes. I don't think that's him of trying to be flashy. I think that's truly his style of play, and that's what he wants to impose on the game. But listen, he showed his vision, right, with that pass to Zielinski in the first game.
Absolutely.
He showed the quality with G already. The first 2 games that we got one already, we're in store for some good things. Though that chop kind of cutback that he's been doing, we've seen in preseason. He did it in this game, in a Serie A game. He's done it. You mentioned it. Defenders weren't great, but still. Listen, I truly think we're in for a big season from him. I obviously, maybe the goals might not be at this high of a rate, but he will adjust. And Joey too, that's another thing. He's like just starting to play games with Osimhen. Osimhen and him aren't even together for a month, and just 2 Serie A games.
Right.
So I think we have a lot to see from Kvaratskhelia, a lot to see.
I'm totally with you there, John. That's why I'm really confident. Hold on, my camera's a little out. I do this little trick to get me back in focus, but I'm totally with you there, Giovanni. I mean, he seems to, again, I just like his confidence. That to me is enough to maybe carry him on through to the rest of the season. So that's why I'm not as worried. Now I know some people were talking about, double teaming, like you mentioned as well, Giovanni. And yes, I think that's going to happen. But again, you start pulling defenders away from their position. You got Ozzy in the cut, like you said. You got Zelinski. You got Lobotka that can run through. We saw what happened when Osimhen was drawing defenders and gave space to Lobotka, and Lobotka was the bury one. So I think that's why I'm so happy for the team, because the goals can come from it. We had 5 goal scorers in the first game. Then we had what? Well, Kvaratskhelia had 2. Then another 3 goal scorers.
3.
And one coming from our defender. I mean, like that's got to be a good sign. I mean, we'll get into it in the later portion, but beginner's luck. No, I don't think so. I think this guy is really, truly hungry. He won't do this every game, but I truly think, excuse me, that he's hungry and he's ready to go and he's ready to make his appearance or make his mark. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. Make his mark in this league, in this Serie A league. And look, everybody's going crazy for him. So, I mean, shit, man. I don't know.
I'm excited.
Right. I mean, we saw a lot of Atalanta against Milan, and I think Milan had some trouble because Atalanta was playing tough D. Before we move on, Giovanni, is there any team or any defense that maybe you're worried about against Kvaratskhelia who can try to stifle him a little bit? Is there any one team?
I mean, off the bat, I think Inter. I think Inter has a lot of versatility, and plus they play 3-5-2. So, like, obviously they have their 3 center backs. and they have those wing backs that are quick that can track back too. You have Dumfries there. I think
Yeah.
if I have to name one off the rip off my head, it's Inter. I think that they would be able to group him more, close him off on that side, maybe not let him roam, and but that, to your point, that doesn't mean that we can't get Osimhen open, or we haven't seen Raspadori wherever he's going to play. He could play behind Osimhen, he could play on the right, he could play wing too. So it's going to free up some space for somebody. Obviously, things are not going to always go to plan. Like you mentioned it, like he's not going to be scoring those type of goals every game. He might not score for a couple of games, but it doesn't mean that he's not the real deal. And I think that it's only natural for somebody to get defended, right? I mean, unless you're literally the top player in the world, and even then, we've seen Koulibaly defend Mbappe and things like that, right, in the past.
Right.
So it's gonna happen. It's a natural thing. It doesn't mean that the kid is not real. The kid can't play. So far, he's not proved us wrong. So far, he showed us that he's got something to give.
Cool. Well, let us know what you think, guys, in the chat as well in our comments for the replays. Do you think it's beginner's luck? How do you feel about Kvara? Let us know, man. We'd like to respond to a couple of those things. So these past two games, now obviously, I think Napoli was harshly judged a bit because of their market. And we lost these main guys, right? And all of a sudden, the approval ratings, the expectations for Napoli just completely drop, Giovanni. Like it was like the end of the world, and this team is trash. And I mean, I don't care if you were a Napoli fan or a Serie A fan or a pundit or a bookie. Nobody gave Napoli the time of day after we sold those guys, and nobody gave the confidence to ADL to kind of like redeem himself. Now, I understand that. Hey, it's my nephew right here. What up, Dominic? What's going on? I understand that losing those guys was rough. It was a big emotional punch to the stomach, and it was, I mean, I was worried too. Rafa
100%.
Rispo was worried too. He's in the house here. Rafa Rispo was worried too. We were all a little worried, like, holy shit, how do you just get rid of all these guys, and like, what are we gonna do now? We're screwed this season. So the panic button was hit, but here's the deal. We came back, we started the season, we got a few guys, we got some more guys. We'll get into that. I don't want to go too much into that, but I'm calling this next one pump the brakes. Now, pump the brakes. But here's the deal. We had Verona and Monza, and I guess everybody's Napoli, everybody's opinion was like, well, Napoli only played Verona. Monza was depleted. Like you said earlier, Giovanni, Monza just came up from Serie A B. But if you really look at the other top teams, I mean, they weren't really challenged either. It wasn't like they were facing each other. I mean, you had Inter, I think was what with Lecce and Venezia. I think their first two games.
Lecce and Spezia. Yeah.
Was it Spezia?
Yeah, Spezia.
All right. Juve had Sassuolo. Today they faced who was it?
Sampdoria.
They faced Sampdoria and tied.
Yeah.
They had a gimme goal from Sassuolo. Let's keep it real. For their second or third goal. Milan played. It was a slightly tough game with Udinese, but another gimme goal that was given to Milan. Let's keep it real. And then what was their last one, man? Or the one before? I think they were Spezia. No, I think they were Spezia.
Milan, they had Atalanta.
Atalanta.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm sorry, but I mean, is it justified to say to Napoli that, hey, relax? It was only these two teams, or do you think that maybe like this is kind of the same for all the other top teams for these first two games at the very least?
Yeah, I think if you're gonna look at who had the tougher start between the top four from last year, probably Milan because of the Atalanta game, obviously. Whereas we've seen Inter struggle. It took a 95th minute winner by Dumfries. Juventus tied to Sampdoria, but they're banged up as well, so I get it. But they tied Sampdoria, but Sassuolo was bad in the first game. Then you have who else? Oh yeah, that's it. And then Roma. Even if you want to throw Roma into the conversation,
yes, goals, Roma as well.
Two goals in the first two games. 2 goals. They did get the points though, so like they got their 6 points, good for them. But 2 goals against Cremonese and who was their first game? Salernitana.
Salernitana, that was the other one.
It's
Okay,
the same. It's the same thing. Where it's like
that's the one.
You want to bash Napoli for like scoring 9 goals and having the most goals in the league and playing the lesser teams. So is everyone else besides Milan. Milan is the only team where you could say, oh, they dropped some points to a solid team, but everyone else is the same.
Right.
Who's seen the most convincing side so far? We have. Napoli has been the most convincing side. Now, whoever knows me knows that I'm not the most optimistic person. Like, I'm very realistic. I am pessimistic. I can get pessimistic, but I think in a way I'd like to be realistic. So of course, are we going to take these first 2 games and say we're going to win the title? No, you can't say that. Any normal person would just know, like, it's going to take a lot. We have to see what we do next week. That's our first test. Then I have our schedule here. We have Fiorentina away. Then we have Lecce at home. We play Lazio after them, then Spezia, and then Milan before the international break. So we have Fiorentina, a game, then Lazio, a game, and then Milan. Those are 3 big tests in the next 5. Depending where we're at the first international break is the first step. I think that's where we could finally say, should we pump the brakes? Do we still have holes, or are we the real deal? And obviously, the season's long. There's 36 more games. The season's so long. We're gonna have these same questions that they're having for us for other teams. Mm-hmm. And Rafa, I agree. That's what I was thinking too. Roma's been uninspiring. Zaniolo's gotten hurt. Wijnaldum
got hurt today in the shoulder.
Got hurt today. He might be out for, I think, 3 to 4 weeks. I said is what they said. Wijnaldum, that's sad. I would never want. You don't want injury on anybody. The tibia fracture, that's horrible for them.
Yeah.
So they brought in signings, a couple signings, but like Dybala hasn't showed anything yet. And I think they're also like blowing it out of proportion. What I meant to say, Roma signings, just because they have Mourinho. That's really what people should be happy about. They have Mourinho, but they only signed Dybala, who we have to see. Can he stay on the field for 30 out of 38 games? Like, we don't even know that. Health. And now Wijnaldum, like, of course, we would never have known that would happen. But it was really Dybala, Matic, Wijnaldum, and Celik, the right back. So it's not like they really, and then obviously, of course, Napoli lately, the past few weeks, made those crazy signings. So, I think if someone's going to say pump the brakes, I get it. I get it. But I think you had a very fair point, and it's very fair to say that should be the same for all the other teams.
Right.
Why is it only Napoli that needs to get this break? And we won that first game against Verona. I remember, too, someone brought up the betting odds the next day. We went even lower. We were like plus 1,400 to win the league the day before we won. We won, and then we were plus 2,200 or something. How's that possible? You win 5-2, and you go, your odds worsen. It doesn't make sense to me. I think it's anyone's. Are we the favorite? I would still, if you're gonna ask me, Raf, I would say maybe Inter is a favorite.
Okay.
Juve, if they were healthy with like Chiesa from the start, Pogba from the start, of course they're a good team. But after seeing these signings from us, why can't we? Why can't we be in the conversation? And I think top 4, we are strong for the top 4. But why after all these signings can we not challenge? I don't think it's that obnoxious to say that we can't challenge.
Agreed. I think that's everybody's general feeling about this. I won't go into too much, but I think it comes down to...
I rambled a little bit.
No, that's what we do here. That's why we call it the rant here. I love it. But I would definitely want to get to the next topic, and then we'll close out. But I think that's the big thing. It's like, not that we want to be told that we're the Scudetto winners or top 4 anything, but at least respect us as contenders. Just as much respect you gave to Roma at the beginning of the season because of Dybala or Roma or Mourinho or whatever, but at least put Napoli. Hashtag why not us? At least I'm going to leave that there for a minute, but at least give us the respect to call us contenders. At least include us in the conversation a little bit, not just because we're Napoli, but because of what we've done over the past 10 years. I think we've earned our keep. We've earned that respect, and we want to start seeing it. We want to start seeing it, man. Like, I'm tired of this old school 1994. There's only 3 teams, and every now and then either Roma or Lazio will be the 4th team. I'm tired of it. I don't want your grandfather's league anymore. I want our league. I want the new league. I want the new Serie A. We talk about Serie A improving. Well, it starts with including other teams and making the league more powerful and stronger. There's just more to it than Milan, Inter, and Juve. All great teams. Don't get me wrong. But there's more to it now. And we should start talking about these things and make the league a little bit more attractive. So that's what I want to say about that. These guys want to, Gerard said, prove it and play thus far. I agree. Anyway, let's get to our last topic here, and then we'll head out. We'll spend a few minutes, Giovanni. We'll do like about 5-6 minutes on this, and then we'll get out of here. All right. But is ADL and SSCN the right direction? Now, again, I spoke about a little bit in the beginning of the episode, but we said that ADL, I mean, just completely changes the look of, not completely, but takes away some of the most important pieces, some of the most important players that we've had over the past 8-10 years, all in one shot. I mean, that's hard for anybody to absorb, anybody. And we saw the emotional response
100%
that happened after that. But then one name here, one name there. I mean, Kvara, Oliveira came like even before the season ended. We had those guys on lock. Koulibaly goes, all of a sudden Kim, Ostigard, right there. And then in 1 week we get Simone Raspadori and Ndombele, right? Like, and they're on the bench for the next game, all three of them. Is Napoli headed in the right direction, considering these last two games and what we've seen, the results on the field as well as the results of the gameplay? Are we going in the right direction? Did ADL do a good choice? And do you see his approval going a little bit, despite his, his little mouth that he got on him? But do you see the approval rating getting a little bit better for ADL over these, next couple weeks?
I think so, man. I mean, us Napoli fans, and like maybe we, not us per se, but even the ones.
I like this.
I like that. That's good, Nick. Yeah.
All day
long. But I mean, especially the fans in Italy and Napoli, because they're right there, up front with the team in the city. Of course, like if the team goes out against Fiorentina and doesn't perform, they're gonna get right against them again. Anyway, it's all dependent on the results too, with some fans. But listen, Raf, like we've known since it started with ADL the past few years, we've known that there's a rocky relationship sometimes. There's a lot of ADL supporters, a lot of ADL haters,
right?
People who are realistic and just take the situation and go as it goes. I think that, it is the right step in the right direction. You know why, too? It sucks. You did mention, too, like, it all happened so fast. Getting rid of Koulibaly, Insigne, and Mertens. Really, the one I would have liked to see stay for one more year was Mertens because of the send-off. Like, he's our top scorer in history. We should have given him a nicer send-off, but he took it the right way. ADL says things that he shouldn't say sometimes. You mentioned his mouth runs.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. Sometimes it happens. But I think he regrouped and took it in the right direction. We got younger. I think I saw a stat where it was like we were 26.7 average age. We went down a year. We went down to 25.7. We have a younger team. Yeah, and we've seen in the past when we're more hungry with players that have something to prove, we play better. And it sucks, but I'd rather rip the Band-Aid off. In one shot if we're going to lose those three guys than keep one at a time.
One at a time.
I don't like that idea of one at a time. And also, you got money for Koulibaly. If Fabian leaves, why would you want to leave him, get nothing for him if you know he's not going to play? Get your 20 mil. Like, send him to PSG and then take it from there. He invested in a great backup striker who's had success in the league. Simeone had 17 goals last year. 17 or something like that. He was one of the top, I think, 5 or 6 guys. You got Raspadori, a main Italian prospect who's already played in the league for a couple of years, part of the national team. And then you go out and get Ndombele, who, with the right attitude, the attitude is his issue. Apparently, I don't know the guy, but that's what they say. It's just is his drive there. If his drive is there, well, that's an improved midfield.
Yeah.
And losing Fabian, I get it. Like, it's just, he had those long range goals. But we still have one of the best midfields in the game. So I think, in short, I'm sorry, I'm going to wrap it up. With ADL,
no, you take your time. We're good.
With ADL, I think that you have to take it for what he is. If he's the owner of this team, he's going to run the team the way he wants to run it. We can't do anything about that, whether it's the funny thing that we always bash him about, image rights, whether it's just like, okay, I want to own your image rights so I can take calendar photos of you for the team calendar. Like, okay, yeah, it's funny. But
do we really even know? We don't even really know. That's the details of it. People say image rights. The minute it comes out in the news, all of a sudden, something against ADL. Let's just throw some shit
Yes,
at him, you know, just to get back at him. I get why, because he talks so much shit. We feel like we need to do something to,
of course,
you know, talk back.
of
but
course.
nobody knows the details that he's in it, right? Anyway, sorry to interject, but go ahead.
No, I agree with that. And you know, too, the thing is too with ADL is just he's brought us to the point where I feel like he can bring us, which has been consistently top 4. You know, of course, now he faces this decision soon with Bari and Napoli. Is he going to sell Napoli or is he going to sell Bari? We'll see how that goes. But when you have ADL as your owner, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get somebody who wants it run the way he will. And so far this season, he's shown that maybe he does care about the team. We lost those big guys, but we went and reinvested with good prices. Like we got Raspadori at, what is he, 23 for over, I think I saw over 6 years. We got to pay them 25 more mil. Like that's ridiculous. How do you get Raspadori for that? You know, and it shows that Raspadori
from Sassuolo, mind you.
Sassuolo, yeah, exactly. The knowing, oh yeah, maybe it's Juve's B team. Like it's funny. It's funny, but like you got one of their main guys, if not their main guy now without Scamacca for that price at a younger age. It shows also that he wanted to come to the team.
Sure.
We get the stigma too. We get the stigma too that ADL he has said things that are inappropriate or just you know the way he says things, not the smartest sometimes. He runs his mouth, but players still want to come. Like you still got Simeone, you still got Raspadori to come. You still have Victor didn't force his way out. You know he's still there and
he's having a good time on the field right now. It seems
passion.
Like.
Yeah, exactly. And you have Kvara, who's never known top flight football really, besides the Russian league. I feel like we need to just settle down a little bit, just evaluate it for what it is. At the end of the season, we can say, was it a failure or not? But he went, you know, with the right attitude into recovering what the team was before these 3 legends went, you know, were finally given freedom of leaving the club. And I think he addresses the right way. That's the only thing I could say, Raf. Like, we don't know. We could freaking lose next week and we'll all be like very mad and like ADL sucks again. But now, you know, right now we address it the way that I feel like a smart owner would do it. And he didn't make us worse. You know, I think we our depth, our versatility, actually, if you look at it compared to last year, got better. You know what I mean? Like you mentioned,
his whole era is probably one of the best.
Honestly, overall. It's probably one of the best transfer. And if he gets Navas, this is an incredible window. Like if we get Navas, even at 35, the guy's a general commander. Like we improve even more. So we'll see where it goes. I think that right now we should stay Nabogatit a little bit, just be quiet and just let it go. You know, let's see where we go. Yeah, just calm down. Let's see where it goes. We're Napoli at the end of the day. We're not Juventus and Inter with all this tons of money. We're just not. We do it the way we can, and we'll see where we go. And hopefully these guys that are hungry lead us to, you know, maybe our first Scudetto, and who knows how long. We'll see.
I'll even go. I won't say I died on the hill. I'm dead, so I can't even say it for this season again. I'm confident in the team, though. I'm happy for the team. I like the way they look. I think even winning a top 4 again this season would be a big accomplishment for this team. The fact that we were considered like these big underdogs, so to take one of those spots, I think already is a big deal and would almost, you know, would be considered a successful season, especially what we do in the Champions League. But overall, I'm happy. I understand why ADL got a lot, you know, he caught a lot of shit. He deserved it.
Yeah.
But I think he's making up for it, you know, somewhat. So, you know, I think we're heading in the right direction. I think the team needed a reset. I think we needed to rebuild again. I think we needed to get younger. We're starting to see these teams kind of like on this new trend where it's like, hey, man, I think those overinflated salary prices, Giovanni, those days are numbered, in my opinion.
I hope so.
You know, we're going into a recession. We just came out of a pandemic that we haven't experienced in over 100 years. I mean, it's time for change. We have to rethink how we do things. I think we've created a bit of a bubble, especially in soccer, and you know, it's unsustainable the way things were going, and to continue on that road, I think was dangerous for the sport. So for that, you know, I'm gonna give ADL his props. But I think at this point now, you know, again, you said with Navas, if he comes in, I think it's complete. But now it's the ball, I think, is in the court of Spalletti and the team now. I mean,
100%.
if the ADL gave Spalletti what he wanted, he gave the city what they wanted, it's time for them to produce. They have to fulfill their end of the bargain. And I think some people don't give that accountability to players. They think, oh, if we lose over this, everything is ADL's fault. I get it. He's the president. The decisions start from the top. Fine. But it's kind of like if somebody goes commit a crime on the street, right? Is it our president's fault in the country? No, we're all responsible. So I want to see Napoli take the responsibility. I want to see Spalletti take the responsibility. I want to see the players that we brought in say, I want to win, and I'm going to do something about it, and produce the results. Let's get a Forza Napoli going in the chat, guys. We're going to wrap up here. I'm going to have you let's get a little music going, man. I like the music. There we go. Okay, got a little background music fading in here. Giovanni, you want to plug anything, any projects you got going on here?
Yeah, I want to say thank you again to Raf and also Rafa Rispo, both you guys, for having me. Really appreciate it. Just want to plug Culture Bastard TM on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Culture Bastard on YouTube. Me, Danny Russo, who you guys know, and my friend Luca San. I want to give him a shout out too. Good luck to you in Italy, bro, playing football out there. But we will be back soon as well with our own stuff. So follow us. But again, Forza Napoli sempre. And we will see where we go from here. Thank you again, Raf. Appreciate it, man.
No, my pleasure. I'm glad you have me. Rafa Rispo join. He's on vacation. We're working now, Giovanni. Rafa Rispo joining vacation.
Hey,
man.
Raf. Hopefully I did you well, my friend. I had to sub in. Hopefully I made you proud.
Oh, you did a great job. You did a great job. This is the depth, right? This is the depth of like Napoli content creators, man. We got a whole bunch out here. But yeah, Rafa, give our love to Ali and the kids, man, and enjoy your time out there. And we'll see you again next week. I just want to rip through his names here. Be sure to, guys, definitely be sure to give us a like, give us a share. Tell all your friends, get in on the action. It's lots of fun. I certainly appreciate everybody who comes through. You really make this show special. We've been doing better. We're improving more and more. So again, big thank you to all of our listeners as well on the audio, all of our chats and chat members in the live. It's just a lot of fun. You really make this show special. So Sunday at the meet, I'll be there. Oh, breaking news. Breaking news. Sunday at the, I'm assuming this is the Tri-State Napoli club. So look at that. I won't be. I just got some new work. I'm working weekends. I'm not going to be at 11. You did fantastic. Take care, boys. Joey Carbs. But that is all the time. Again, thank you again to Giovanni Gozzolino for joining us tonight. Thank you to everybody in the chat. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully, this form continues, right? Against Fiorentina.
We'll see.
Play Fiorentina in Tuscany next week.
Let's do it.
Man, I think we need some redemption. I think some redemption for next week is due, guys. But until that time, stay safe. And Forza Napoli sempre, guys. Ciao.
Ciao.